Everyone who's even a little into K-pop knows the name G Dragon. The king of K-pop, the celebrity of celebrities, the cultural icon. He's picked up all kinds of titles over the years, and this documentary is all about Kwon Ji-young and his journey to becoming the legend in K-pop history. And with his comeback on October 31st, after 7 years so it's time for a video dedicated to G Dragon, born in August 1988 in Seoul. G Dragon was pretty much destined to be a star. According to his mom, he was dancing around the house from a super young age. And when she saw how much he loved it, she started taking him to auditions and dance programs. At just 5 years old, he debuted on MBC's children's show, Bo 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 Bo, where he wasn't alone. Future celebs like actress Shin Se-kyung and Miss Aismin were there too. Dancing quickly became his thing, and after 2 years of practice, he started getting noticed. One of the big names back then, the K-pop group Rura, was planning to create a mini version of themselves, kind of like a K-pop kids group called Little Rura. So in 1994, 6-year-old G Dragon joined Little Rura. They even released songs for kids, but the group disbanded not too long after. Kim Ji-hyun, a member of Rura, once shared in an interview how G Dragon was even then. She said, even though he was a kid, he had the makings of a star. He was extremely chic and special. Chairi Na added, even if you said, you're so cute, his expression wouldn't change at all. But after Little Rura broke up, GD was heartbroken and told his mom he didn't want to do music anymore. Imagine experiencing the highs and lows of showbiz at just 6 years old. But everything shifted on a family ski trip where he ended up in a dance competition and won. This caught the attention of Lee Soo-man, one of the founders of SM Entertainment, and soon G Dragon became a trainee there. Now, he wasn't a trainee like we picture today, training day and night. He only went to SM about once or twice a month to practice dancing. At that young age, they weren't sure what to do with him yet. But during his 3rd year at SM, everything changed. He got introduced to Wu-Tang Clan's music and was hooked. That's when he decided he wanted to rap, not just dance. He begged his mom to let him join a summer school run by the hip-hop group People Crew, where he met Lee Hee-seung from the South Korean hip-hop group X-Teen. Under their guidance, G Dragon got to in the Korean hip-hop album Korean Hip Hop Flex in 2001, making him the youngest Korean rapper at just 13. Ultimately, he left SM Entertainment after 5 years, wanting more control over his own creative path and to carve out his own style. Around this time, G Dragon got noticed by none other than Sean. If you don't know, Sean was a big deal in the Korean hip-hop scene back then. He and another rapper, Jinwoo, were signed under YG Entertainment as the duo Junisian. So Sean ends up introducing G Dragon to YG's CEO, Yang Hyun-suk. G Dragon actually shared what that first meeting was like, saying, when I first went to see the CEO, I was nervous and thought, now I'm meeting Yang Hyun-suk. I liked Yang Hyun-suk the most in Tia Taiji voice. I liked his fashionable look with short sleeves and gloves. And he was also the best dancer. But my first impression was really ruined. I could hear the sound of slippers dragging from far away. And the CEO said in his signature accent, are you here? He didn't sound like Yang Hyun-suk of Eo Taiji voice. He sounded like a neighborhood uncle. Someone who is new to K-pop, YG Entertainment founder Yang Hyun-suk was himself an idol, and in fact he was a part of one of the most popular groups of 1990s. So this is why G Dragon was excited to meet him. So then Yang Hyun-suk, being the business mastermind he is, starts pitching his vision to G Dragon. But there was one problem. His mom wasn't exactly thrilled about her kid joining the IG Entertainment. Yang Hyun-suk even gave G Dragon a little pep talk when her mother wasn't in the room, telling him, if mom comes, be sure to come here and throw a tantrum. And that's exactly what he did. G Dragon went home, poured on the tears, and finally convinced his mom to let him sign with YG. He later said, I went home and cried to my mom and ended up signing with YG Entertainment. When I was 13, YG had Jinisian, One Time, and Lexi. When I first came into the office, Dongwook, 7, was wearing cool clothes and joking around with the office staff. He was the prettiest person I'd ever seen. But signing with YG wasn't the start of fame and glory. GD training at YG. It started with cleaning the practice room. He was in charge of mopping floors, wiping down mirrors, and basically running errands for the seniors. He said, I watched my seniors practice, then brought them water, laid out food when it was delivered, and put it back when they were done eating. I cleaned like crazy for a year. When I came to work, I cleaned for an hour first, practiced for an hour or two, and cleaned for an hour last. By the end of that year, though, things started looking up. He got to participate in Perry's solo album title song, performed on a public music program, and even got on stage as a backup dancer with his older brothers at concerts. Around this time, he also met Taeyang, who would go on to be a key member of Big Bang. They first crossed paths while starring in Jin music video. At first, G Dragon thought he and Taeyang would debut as a duo, kind of like the next Jin. But YG had bigger plans. They wanted to create a new boy band, which would soon be known as Big Bang. GD even called up his old friend T.O.P to audition, and he ended up getting in, along with other new members. And like most things with YG, it wasn't as simple as just forming a group. They had to go through rounds of competitions and evaluations, which were all documented on TV after 6 long years under YG Entertainment. The G Dragon finally debuted as the leader of Big Bang with their first studio album, Big Bang Volume .1, since 2007. The album sold over 100,000 copies. A big deal for a new boy band in 2006, but Big Bang's real breakthrough came with their second EP, Always. He was heavily involved in its production, marking the start of his influence on K-pop. Always brought a fresh, experimental sound, blending electronic dance music into the scene and changing Korea's music landscape. Plus, it was the first album in K-pop to be promoted as a mini album. The lead single, Lies, was written and composed by none other than G Dragon himself. This song blew up. It dominated the charts for 2 months straight and became the group's breakout hit, winning Song of the Year at the 2007 Met Asian Music Awards. Lies was so iconic it was later named the Song of the Decade by M Countdown, and by 2016 it was ranked as the top male idol song in the best 20 years by industry experts. Even industry experts said this was the song that truly made Big Bang who they are today. From there, the hits just kept coming: Last Farewell, Haru Haru, Sunset Glow. At this point, Big Bang was basically the backbone of YG Entertainment's income. But with G Dragon's growing fame, the criticism started to roll in too. Some people accused him of plagiarism, giving anti-fans plenty of fuel to attack him. Despite the backlash, G Dragon kept producing hit after hit for Big Bang, earning a reputation as a musical genius. Then in August 2009, he finally dropped his highly anticipated solo debut album, Heartbreaker. The album was an instant smash, selling over 200,000 copies and winning Album of the Year at the 2009 Mnet Asian Music Awards. But just when 22-year-old G Dragon was about to celebrate his success, he was hit with devastating news. Just the day before Heartbreaker's title track dropped, the song was accused of plagiarism. He opened up about the whole plagiarism controversy, saying whether or not it's actually plagiarism. Just being called a plagiarist feels so humiliating. People online were basically at war, one side saying, yeah, it's plagiarized, and the other defending me. YG even said they'd fly to the US to get it all sorted. Like, it was gonna turn into this huge legal mess. I honestly felt like I was losing it. All I wanted was to sing and dance for people, but it seemed like some folks were only focused on tearing me down. I thought I was gonna go crazy. But after thinking about it, I realized singers should answer controversies through their performances. He figured that no matter what he said, it probably wouldn't change people's minds. So he decided to let his music and performances speak for him. Like, if actors respond through their roles, then for a singer, their stage is their voice. He said, the only way I can own up to my music is by giving my best on stage. I always told myself I'd apologize if my performance ever disappointed my fans. If I just keep doing my best, maybe people will see the real story on their own. The plagiarism accusations around his music, it was a mess. Sony Music accused him of copying flow. Rita's Right Round for his track Heartbreaker, and even threatened to shut down his promotions unless he paid up. But then EMI, who had rights to Right Round, was like, we don't see it. Meanwhile, YG Entertainment said there hadn't been any formal accusations from the US publishers. So Sony Music started an investigation, but in the end, the actual artists confirmed there was no plagiarism, and Heartbreaker went on to be a massive hit online and offline. This wasn't even the only time G Dragon faced these accusations. Sony Music again claimed his track Butterfly sounded a bit too much like Oasis's She's Electric. These claims just gave his antis more fuel, and he got hate for practically anything he did. But strangely Strangely, this attention from both fans and haters kept him motivated. He said, if an online article about me comes out, the first comment is always hate. I'm human too, so of course I check. The antis seem to get to the articles first, but honestly, I'm kind of thankful. If they really hated me, they wouldn't pay attention. Maybe it's like, I hate this guy, but I still can't look away. So because of that, I feel I have to try even harder. Then came another controversy, a marijuana case. During a trip to Japan for Big Bang's activities, G Dragon got into trouble after a party. He'd been drinking and accepted a cigarette from someone there, not knowing it was weed. Here's how he explained it. I think it all started when I took a puff off a cigarette from someone I didn't know at an after party in Japan in May 2011. It was our party, and I was really drunk. I didn't think much of it since it was offered by a guest. I should have been more careful, especially as a public figure, but it was all my fault. So his marijuana controversy was a wild ride at the peak of his career. He explained he was really drunk, didn't realize the cigarette was anything unusual. But when he sensed something off, he tossed it. But when he got back to Korea, things blew up, media went crazy, and there was all this misinformation, including rumors that he'd tried to bring weed into the country. None of that was true though. During a routine airport check, he tested positive, but only for a tiny trace. Here's what actually happened. His initial urine test was negative, but a follow-up hair test showed a weak positive result. Because the amount was so minimal and this was his first offense, the charges were eventually dropped. Still, he went on hiatus for a while to let things cool down. But in 2013, G Dragon made a serious comeback with his second solo album, Kpop Industry. It earned him several awards and was a massive hit, but it also stirred up some controversy. The album's visuals and themes were dark and introspective, a big shift from Big Bang style. Music videos for Kpop Industry and Crooked had bold imagery, sparking discussions among fans and critics about his artistic direction and intent. 2013 really marked a turning point in his career. In an interview, he talked about dealing with all the criticism, saying, I don't see it as a battle with my antis. I just have to keep working hard until they disappear. I can't win over the public because artists need to work together with them. It's like being a student. I've done my homework and now I'm hoping my teacher thinks I did well. He didn't pretend he wasn't hurting either. He admitted it's 100,000 times worse being the one bashed. Korea is a small country, so it's really tough when things blow up. I understood it, but it still hurt really bad. I feel like I've grown wings to fly higher. I've flown too far to fall now. I'm trying hard. I just want people to understand me more and to like me more. Another controversy G Dragon faced was over his military enlistment. He was accused of delaying his service and using his status to get special treatment. But here's the thing, South Korean law actually allows people pursuing higher education to postpone their enlistment. So between 2009 and 2016, he focused on finishing his degree, which is totally legal. However, his antis made this a huge issue. When he finally enlisted in 2018, the media and outlets like Dispatch accused him of getting preferential treatment, especially after reports. Came out that he took more days off than most soldiers, 76 vacation days, 47 sick days, plus time for an ankle surgery. That's when things really blew up. But an army official stepped in and cleared up the confusion, saying that all soldiers are allowed a certain number of sick days and vacation days, and G Dragon wasn't getting treated any differently. The official added that his lack of promotion during his service wasn't related to his time off. A lawyer familiar with military regulations also confirmed that absences due to medical reasons don't count as vacation or leave. Days, they're just considered time served while getting necessary medical care. Then there was the issue of privacy violations and dating rumors of Jennie and G Dragon. These rumors were totally baseless, but they caused a massive divide between Blinks and VIPs online. The rumors with claims that G Dragon was dating everyone from Japanese models to girl group members and even the granddaughter of a chaebol family. But as always, G Dragon never confirmed anything. No matter what the media tried to push, he kept his personal life private. Around this time, G Dragon also held an art exhibition called Peace Minus One Beyond the Stage at the Seoul Museum of Art. During this exhibition, he opened up about his feelings of loneliness and isolation. Despite being seen as a glamorous star, he said, "People may see me as a luxurious star, but I am always thinking I can be represented by my psychological world that is fraught with vanity. Loneliness and always feels inadequate." Despite being one of the most successful K-pop idols ever, his journey hasn't been all glitz and glamour. In fact, there was a deeply disturbing moment in his career when an online petition circulated calling for him to commit suicide. Imagine dealing with that level of negativity while constantly trying to meet the impossible expectations placed on him. He worked himself to the brink of exhaustion, hoping that by doing so, he'd earn love and acceptance. But behind the success, he struggled with depression and emotional turmoil. He opened up about his mental battles, and there was this one cryptic Instagram post that worried his fans deeply, where he said, "I want to hide in a place that makes me comfortable." After wrapping up his Act 3 Mott World Tour, he shared behind-the-scenes footage from his concerts. In one scene, he was getting an MRI scan, and he commented, "It's not like I want things to turn bad, you know?" How can you say something like that when you see that I'm booked back-to-back with all these schedules? It's a raw look into the reality of K-pop idol life, which can be absolutely mind-boggling at times. In another scene, he said, "That's when psychological issues come into play." I'm not sure how many of you feel, but sometimes I feel a pressure of G Dragon weighing me down. This isn't the first time he's spoken about the toll fame takes on him. He's opened up about his struggles with fame and identity before, especially in his EP Kwanji Yong, where he explored his loneliness through tracks like Superstar. And let's not forget his Instagram post where he posted a picture with the caption, "I can't handle people anymore," a cry for escape and healing. Even last year, drug controversy of G Dragon has shocked the entire nation. Similar charges were brought against Parasite actor Lee Sun-kyung prior to this, but it's important to note that the facts of each case are different. After his name made it to the headlines, G Dragon willingly showed up for questioning at the narcotics unit, and he even brought samples. Tension, however, increased when reports circulated that G Dragon altered the evidence by shaving off all of his body hair. But he immediately refuted these accusations, and at the end he is free from all these accusations. So yeah, being G Dragon isn't easy. His legacy is huge, but so are the struggles that come with fame, false accusations, unnecessary hate. His achievements are massive, from revolutionizing music to the fashion industry. He was the first idol to be invited by Chanel, and the first solo idol to have a world tour. He's broken so many barriers. Now, after 7 years, he's back with even more power, having left YG and signed with his new label, Galaxy Cooperation.